At 22 hours GMT, welcome to the newsroom from the BBC World Service. I'm Alex Ritson. Europe's medicines regulator tries to combat widespread suspicion of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine over fears it causes blood clots.
We are still firmly convinced that the benefits of the AstraZeneca vaccine in preventing COVID-19 with its associated risk of hospitalisation and death outweigh the risk of these side effects.
Those concerns are having an increasing impact on the vaccine rollout in Africa. US Vice President Kamala Harris tells the United Nations how to measure freedom in a country.
The status of women is the status of democracy. The United States will work to improve both, upholding the democratic values embedded in the Declaration.
Instagram tries to block adults from messaging teenagers and children they don't know. And the vanished lakes and seas of Mars may have been found. You're listening to the BBC World Service.
Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. Italy's Prime Minister Mario Draghi has described as encouraging a positive interim assessment by the European Medicines Agency of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine. The agency is investigating a small number of reports of blood clots, which prompted several European countries to suspend use of the jab. It will announce its findings on Thursday. Danny Aberhart has more details.
Following a phone call with President Macron, Mario Draghi said Italy and France were ready to promptly restart using the vaccine if the review by the European Medicines Agency found nothing wrong. France's Prime Minister says he'll get the jab as soon as that happens. The agency's experts are considering the evidence. They say so far nothing indicates the clots have been caused by the jab. Precautionary suspensions have interrupted many countries' stuttering vaccination campaigns.
A senior World Health Organization official has urged African governments not to lose faith in the AstraZeneca vaccine. Dr. Richard Mahigo, the WHO's head of immunization in Africa, said suspensions by European countries were creating anxiety among African nations who are relying on the AstraZeneca jab, which has so far proved safe. Dr. Ayoade Alakidja is co-chair of the African Union Vaccine Delivery Alliance.
We already know that from some countries, DRC for one, they've already suspended rollout of the vaccine. Other countries in Africa already saying that they're not going to roll out the vaccine, or they don't want the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is basically the backbone. It's the linchpin of the entire COVAX initiative, but not just COVAX. Also, Africa Union's Vaccine Acquisition Task Force mainly has AstraZeneca on its books.
President Biden has embarked on a series of visits across the United States to promote the COVID relief plan he signed into law last week. His first stop was Chester in Pennsylvania. Aleem Makbul reports.
The $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan, supported only by Democrats, is something he's trying to persuade Americans is money well spent through direct one-off payments to individuals and tax credits, among other provisions. Vice President Kamala Harris and other senior administration figures are doing their own legs of this tour across the country, but have been focusing on political battleground states and ones where there'll be Senate races in 2 years' time. Some would be forgiven for thinking the campaign for 2022's midterm elections has already got underway.
The US Vice President Kamala Harris has used her first speech at the United Nations to champion the role of women in democracy. Ms. Harris told an annual meeting on gender equality that the exclusion of women from decision-making was the sign of a flawed democracy. She said Washington would revitalise its relationship with UN women. World News from the BBC. At least 58 people have been killed in Niger following 2 attacks near the border with Mali. It's not clear who carried out the killings in the Tillabéri region, an area plagued by the Islamist insurgency which has spread across the Sahel. Grant Ferret reports.
The southwestern part of Niger has suffered from worsening lawlessness and attacks by various armed groups. In the first days of the year, jihadists killed at least 100 villagers. Civilians were again targeted in the latest incidents. In one, gunmen shot more than 20 passengers on a bus who were returning from a market on Monday. The vehicle was then set alight. More than 1,000 soldiers from Chad are due to be deployed in the area as part of a regional security effort, but it's doubtful that they'll succeed where local and French forces have so far failed.
Officials in Brazil's most populous state, Sao Paulo, have called on the country's new health minister to consider imposing a lockdown as coronavirus deaths continue to climb. On Tuesday, the state registered a record 679 deaths. The head of Sao Paulo's COVID emergency body said private hospitals had been requesting space in the public health system because of the demand for intensive care beds. Instagram is introducing safety measures designed to stop adults sending unwanted messages to teenagers. Under 18s will only be able to receive private messages from older users they already follow. Teenagers will also be sent alerts telling them to be cautious in their conversations with adults. Instagram says it's also developing artificial intelligence to improve age verification. Scientists believe they've found out what happened to the water that flowed across the surface of Mars billions of years ago. Writing in the journal Science, they say vast quantities of liquid became trapped in minerals below the planet's crust. That's the latest. BBC News.